myself Vaibhav. I welcome all of you to today's session of Market Movers, in which we are seeing the USDJPY oscillating in between these crucial levels of 110 on the lower side, and on the higher side, it has been finding resistance closer to 110.5. So, for last couple of sessions, the range has been fairly narrow, and we will be looking at the possibility of the breakout on either side. If we consider the data docket for the day, there were not many major releases earlier in the day, nor there is any major data scheduled for the remaining part of the day. We have these home sales data coming in, but I am not really expecting it to be much of a market mover, and we are likely to see muted reaction, if any, to it. Looking at the Germany's IFO business climate indicator data, we are seeing moderation there, and for this month it has declined to 110.8, and that is a drop which is more than expectation. The expectations were of a reading close to 102, but here we are seeing this decline, and this is mainly being driven by the supply constraints rather than on the demand side. So I am expecting, as the supply side situation improve, we might see the business climate indicator climbing higher in coming months. Moving to the US home sales data, we are expecting some lower side reading here as well, and the home sales numbers are likely to be in the ballpark of zero point 0.8 million, and in terms of percentages, we might see some slight rise compared to the last month. So in month-on-month terms, we will be seeing some rise of around 2 percentage point. But if we look at the broader trend for last couple of months data in consideration, we have seen the consecutive months of decline in the home sales, and I think that situation is not likely to reverse in coming months, or you can say at least couple of quarters more. Now let's shift our attention to the technical side, as technicals are likely to play a much important role in today's session in absence of fundamental releases coming in. So we will be starting the session with the technical outlook for USDJPY, and after that we will also be considering another USD pair, the Euro USD. This is the daily time frame chart, and here if you consider this formation, you can see that 61.8% Fibonacci retracement level proved key for the USD/JPY turnaround, and after this rise of almost 400 pips, some moderation was expected, and after this decline again, the USD/JPY is finding the buying on the lower side. And if we consider the market price action so far in the day, we have seen the USD/JPY oscillating in between these crucial levels. On the lower side, the 110 holds. So I think as long as 110 is intact on the lower side, we can be continuing to look for the buy trades, and in course of time, we can expect the USD/JPY to start climbing higher, and eventually the retest of 111.5 can also be expected, but that is likely to take a couple of days or even couple of weeks. But in near term, if we have to make money, then we will have to pay a lot more attention to the 110 level, and as close as it gets, we can try to exploit the situation. And I think for that we will have to mostly rely on the lower time frame charting, where we have these key levels which can guide us in making the trading decisions. On the higher side, we have this resistance of the central pivot point, which has proven a hurdle for the USD/JPY upside momentum, and on the lower side, this first support, the pivot point series S1, is there, and that has been providing support on the lower side. So we can expect these two levels to be the guiding factor moving forward also, and any buy trade, if it has to be taken, should be taken as close as possible to this first support, and that is going to cut down on our stop loss levels, we can keep the stop loss level fairly sharp if we get the entry close to this first support of this month's pivot point series, and on the higher side a breakout above this central pivot point is going to be of high importance. Only after we have this breakout and the USDJPY price action is able to sustain above this immediate hurdle, I think the DEX will be cleared for the rally on the higher side towards this prior swing high and this month's first resistance of this month's pivot point series. So looking at that, we will be looking for the trading opportunities to go long in the USDJPY closer to 110 level, and that kind of opportunity had presented itself in early part of European session. Now that we have seen USDJPY climbing back again, I think we have this confirmation of sorts that USDJPY is going to find the support closer to these 110 levels. So I think keeping all these points in mind, we can keep an order close to 110.10 or 110.15. So we have to watch out for the dip on the lower side, and if it does materializes, then I think with the stop loss anywhere close to 109.9 or just below that, it would be a good trading opportunity to try our hands on. So that is going to entail the risk of around 25-30 pips, and on the higher side we can expect to make around 50 pips at the minimum. I'm quite hopeful if the USDJPY is able to hold closer to this support area, then in course of time we can expect to move beyond this prior swing high. So that means we can expect to move at least towards 110.6 or thereabout, bringing us the possibility of making 40 to 50 pips on the higher side. Now let's see what's happening in the Euro USD. This is the daily time frame chart, and Euro USD has spent considerable amount of time, couple of weeks almost, consolidating in this narrow range. It is not going anywhere, and if we consider the today's price action, it has moved sharply, but in the predefined range, we don't really have any fresh breakout, and I'm not really expecting any fresh breakout in today's session. So here, it will be better to keep looking for scalping opportunities where the support is on the lower side, closer to the prior swing lows of around 1.175, and on the higher side, we can expect the 1.18 level to be a key resistance. So keeping these two levels in mind, we can look for scalping trades, and any buy trade can be taken closer to this base formation of 1.176. And I think even now, after this rise in the early part of today's session, we can be hopeful, or we can keep looking for these kind of opportunities. And as long as there is no clear breakout on the lower side, we can take our chances. And if you consider this regression curve, it has now flattened and started to incline on the higher side. So that adds one more factor, but we do have to keep in mind that this pivot point series is not really telling us that any clear cut trend change is imminent. So we do have to be cautious here and trade accordingly, while keeping in mind that the medium term to longer term trend is still bearish, and it will be better for us to trade with short term horizon. So intraday kind of trades can be taken, and for that, this convergence zone of these two key SMAs, the 50 and 100 SMAs, can be kept in mind. We have these two SMAs converging closer to 1.178, and that's where we have seen volatility. And now that Euro USD is again declining towards 1.178, we can indeed take our chances while keeping the stop loss just below this yesterday's low of around 1.176. So that means we will have to take the risk of around 20 pips, and for any trade, for any buy trade taken close to 1.177 to 1.178 price band, we can expect the Euro USD to climb above this 200 SMA. That means we can expect the prices of around 1.18. So this trade is not really going to get us 1:2 risk reward ratio, and it's more of a scalping opportunity. And for that, we can keep our lot size lower. We should not really be going heavily in this trade. Rather than that, hold back and see how the price action evolves, and in course of time a clear breakout, a trend determinant is likely to unfold, and after that we can even take swing trades. So that's my take looking at the current price formation of the Euro USD. If you have any query or any idea to share, you can write to me in the feedback section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading the financial instrument, and one should be careful while using the information provided. For further market coverage, you can check out our analytics page, the Decisive analytics page, and for starting to trade, you can utilize the JForex platform. On the social media, we are present on the Facebook. You can follow us there. Thank you all for joining in. See you next time. Till then, goodbye.